Good afternoon, Miami Dolphins fans. This is Mike from DolphinsTalk.com with a breaking news audio on this Sunday, January the 29th. It is just after 3 p.m., and we got some big news that the Miami Dolphins, per Tom Pelissero and the NFL Network, have agreed to terms with Vic Fangio to be their new defensive coordinator. It is a 3-year deal with a team option for year 4. The Miami Dolphins got their man, and I know a lot of fans of the Dolphins, especially on social media, have been very vocal and very much wanting Vic Fangio to come to the Miami Dolphins, and their wishes came true as he is now a part of this Miami Dolphins coaching staff, taking over the defensive side of the ball. There's so much to talk about with this story. First off, kudos to the Miami Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross, because we heard the reports on Friday night that the Carolina Panthers with Frank Reich were putting on a full court press to make Vic Fangio the highest paid assistant coach in the NFL. They really wanted him to sort of work with Frank Reich and run their defense, and they were willing to break the bank. And I'm sure with Vic Fangio, it wasn't all about money, but the money had to at least be close. And I can take a safe guess now that Stephen Ross either beat the financial offer of the Panthers or came close enough where it was not really a big factor. So kudos to the Miami Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross, and doing whatever was needed financially to make this happen. And also kudos to Mike McDaniel, as Jeff Darlington of ESPN reported last week that Mike McDaniel and Vic Fangio are fond of each other and have a very good relationship. And they also share the same agent, which I said over the past week on some shows. That stuff is so much more important than some fans think, especially in regards to coaching. Coaches they're comfortable with guys who also have the same representation as them, as they feel like there's not someone else in the building trying to stab them in the back, let's just say. So the fact that Mike McDaniel and Vic Fangio have the same representation helped a lot here. And they're also very fond of each other, and they respect each other from the Jeff Darlington report as well. So there is a little bit of a love fest there between those two. But yeah, this is a very good day for the Miami Dolphins. Now, are there some red flags with Vic Fangio? Absolutely. They absolutely are. But overall, in the big picture, if you're a fan of the Dolphins, you cannot be upset with this signing. This is a very, very good signing for the Dolphins, as they have one of the most respected defensive coordinators in the NFL over the past 20 or so years now in charge of their defense. Vic Fangio has been in the NFL since 1986, minus 1 year where he spent at Stanford. You know, that's close to 40 years of experience in the NFL, and the majority of it has been as a defensive coordinator. So this is a good day, and you look at the talent the Miami Dolphins have on that side of the ball. Jalen Phillips is an emerging superstar. Christian Wilkins, you can make the case, already is a superstar. Up front, you have Chubb, who they gave up a first-round pick for, and they view him as a superstar, and they're paying him like a superstar. So you throw Chubb in the mix. Emmanuel Ogbah, who I know was hurt this year, missed most of the year, and really wasn't productive until the previous 2 years, was very productive. So hopefully Vic Fangio can get him back to his form here in recent years. Xavier Howard did slip a little bit this year, but overall he's still a top 10 cornerback in this league. Javon Holland is an up-and-coming player. When it comes to Brandon Jones, it's going to be interesting with him, because in this new style of defense, he might fit more at linebacker than safety, or they might, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where his future goes, where he's lined up in 2023. I still think he's going to be primarily a safety, but he might be used more a little bit here in the box as a linebacker if Miami can add another, let's just say, athletic safety this offseason. So that's going to be something to watch. And, of course, with Byron Jones, unsure his future, that's mainly a financial decision of what Miami wants to do. But, you know, when he's healthy and on the field, he's a very good player who obviously was sorely missed this year by the Miami Dolphins. So the talent is there for Vic Fangio to turn around that side of the ball rather quickly, as Miami has a lot of talent on that side of the ball. Now, talking about Chubb, I just want to say one thing here before I move on. Everyone, well, not everyone, there'll be a lot of fans who can say, oh, he's reunited with Chubb, reunited with Chubb. Here's the thing. When Chubb was with Vic Fangio with the Broncos, his numbers were really not that great. 1 year he had 1 sack. Another year he had 7.5 sacks. And the third year he had 0 sacks. Now, there's a lot of missed games there for injuries too. A lot. Like I think the year with 1 sack, he only played in 4 games. 7.5 sacks was pretty much a full year. And the year was 0 sacks. I think he played half a year. So it's not like Chubb had a ton of numbers and stats under Vic Fangio, but he is going to be familiar with them and what the new defense Miami is running, which is key because, again, Miami gave up a first-round pick to the Broncos for Chubb, and they're paying him like a superstar. So having him familiar with what Miami will be doing on that side of the ball is key. And let's dive a little bit into what we're going to see now with Vic Fangio and the style of defense he's going to be running. Because here's the thing. It's going to be night and day difference in what we saw with Brian Flores and Josh Boyer. There is no similarities at all in the styles they run. Now, obviously, when Flores was here, put aside this past year, when Flores was here and had a heavy hand in what they did on that side of the ball, Miami did have a lot of success on defense, but there's more than one way to have success in this league, and I think we're going to see that here with Vic Fangio. Vic is 64 years old. He will turn 65 in August, so he'll be 65 years old here in August before the start of the season. I don't want to say it's his last stop in the NFL, but more than likely, if he stays 3 or 4 years, this is probably his last coaching job in the NFL and the last place he'll be. His defensive scheme that he's going to run, that I'm about to talk about here a little bit, is sort of the new wave in the NFL of what teams are doing and having success in slowing down these high-powered offense. Because the NFL now, we know all the rules are tilted towards the offense. Putting up points, big passing plays, chunk yardage plays, every rule. You can't touch a wide receiver. You can't touch a quarterback. This style is that new wave that's sort of spread over the NFL the past handful of years in that showing success that other teams are trying to do the copycat way. And part of it is his coaching tree is really starting to grow super, super fast. So the head coach of the Chargers, Brandon Staley, is someone who learned under Vic Fangio, and a main reason he became head coach of the Chargers is because of the success he had with Vic Fangio. Joe Barry, the defensive coordinator for the Packers, who just got that job this past year, he learned under Brandon Staley, who hence learned under Vic Fangio. So the Packers implement the same type of scheme, and we obviously know Sean Desai, who had his 1 year with the Bears, and is very, very close with Vic Fangio. So the coaching tree is starting to expand for Vic Fangio. There are some other names as well. I'm not going to put you all to sleep with like 100 names, but this is the copycat type of scheme that is sort of spreading throughout the league now, and that everyone wants this type of defense because it's proven to work against this new wave of high-powered NFL offenses. And the reason it works is this. And if you're a fan of the Dolphins, who were just, who were so frustrated last year with Josh, constantly blitzing, this scheme blitzes very, very, very little. Only about 20 to 25% of the time. And Vic Fangio is going to be huge on zone coverage. So what we've seen the Miami Dolphins run under Flores, you can rip that up and throw it out the window. Josh Boyer, Vic Fangio, everything they did, you will not see with Vic Fangio because they blitz only 20 to 25% of the time. It's very rare, and they are huge on zone coverage. There are some man principles, but it's primarily a zone coverage unit. It's a two safety shell that uses that two safety shell as a template to disguise the coverages and what is happening in the secondary. It pretty much, he likes to have the safeties be interchangeable and flexible. So there's not that, so-and-so's a free safety, so-and-so's a strong safety. He likes two athletic, interchangeable safeties. The safeties play closer to the line of scrimmage than you normally see in other NFL defenses. And because of that, they need to be athletic and to help with the run on run reads, but also be athletic enough to drop back into coverage when it's a pass. So that's why the safeties here are going to be so key in this type of defense, because they need to be athletic enough and need to be good in coverage, which is why I say with someone like Brandon Jones, it's going to be interesting how they use him, because when he's in coverage, it's not a strong spot, so he might be better suited as sort of a joker linebacker type role, or use him at safety, but they're going to have to do some work there with him. It'll be interesting to see how he's used. But like I said, it's going to be very heavy zone coverage where the moving plays around. And outside of safety, the other thing to keep an eye on here this next season, and as we go through like training camps and all the preseason games, is the fronts of the defensive lines. So Vic Fangio, that's the key. He likes to use tight fronts up front to eat up gaps and free up guys for one-on-one matchups, either on the outside or in the middle. He likes to use a 3-4 personnel to create 4-3 under fronts and 4-3 over fronts, which I know is very technical, and for most people that's like it's over their head. Essentially, you're using 3-4 personnel and you're lining up in a 4-3, and whether it's an under front or an over front, it's sort of which way you sort of tilt the field according to the opposing tight end. That's just the basic way. So expect when Miami's active in the draft, Miami's active here in free agency, to them to be looking for 3-4 personnel, not necessarily 4-3 personnel. Because they like to use, where Vic Fangio is going to like to use a 3-4 personnel to sort of play either under fronts or over fronts with how they line up, especially on the defensive line. Because when he runs those odd fronts, it allows him to kick normal ends and pass rushers inside to work on guards instead of tackles. So again, I know we're getting very technical, but that's kind of what you're going to expect from the Dolphins. Not a lot of blitzing, very rare. Safeties are going to need to be athletic as hell, and they're going to be the key to the entire defense that the Miami Dolphins are going to be running. Zone coverage and a lot of 3-4 personnel with creative formations up front to line up in 4-3 over fronts and 4-3 under fronts. So that's what it is. And the other, I would say, wrinkle that this Vic Fangio style of defense is known for is whatever you see lined up pre-snap in the secondary is just a disguise 10 times out of 10. So whatever they line up, it's lined up as a pre-snap disguise. And he likes to be very eccentric and very tricky with the secondary formation. So again, it's going to be very much not what we've seen out of the past few years with Josh Boyer and Brian Flores. It'll be interesting to see how many coaches on that side of the ball keep their jobs and how many coaches on that side of the ball lose their jobs. We obviously have Sam Madison on that side of the ball. You got Anthony Campanelli and some others. Are these guys going to stay in Miami, or is Vic Fangio going to bring in his guys, his crew, who are familiar with his style to fill up the position coaches? So I'm sure we'll probably get word on that in the next week or two as they make some tough decisions there. But let's run through real quick here Vic Fangio's coaching history, because I know, like I said, he's been in the league almost 40 years, and that's a long time when you really do think about it. It's a long time to be in the league. Started in 1986 as the Saints linebackers coach. He was there for a long time as the Saints linebackers coach up till 94. Then in 95, he went to the Carolina Panthers. When they first came in the league, 95 was the first year for the Panthers when they first came into the league, and he was their defensive coordinator. And once again, when a new team comes in the league, it's often a bunch of team of young kids and scrubs that other teams didn't want. And in year two, he had, well, not all him, but the Panthers went to the NFC title game, and a big part of that was because of their strong defense with Vic Fangio calling the shots. Then he went to the Colts in 99, was there in 2001. Those were the early years of Peyton Manning in his career. Then after that, he went to the Houston Texans from 2002 to 2005 as, once again, a defensive coordinator. After 2005, goes to the Ravens in 2006 through 2009 as a special assistant to the head coach and also a defensive assistant. The first few years, then in 2009, he was the Ravens linebackers coach. 2010 was the year he went to Stanford with Jim Harbaugh and pretty much turned around the Stanford Cardinals defense. there and made the Stanford Cardinals, who are not known as a football powerhouse, him and Harbaugh really turned them around. In 2011, follows Jim Harbaugh to San Francisco. And obviously Harbaugh, when he was with San Francisco, had a ton of success. In 2011, Vic Fangio's first year as San Francisco's defensive coordinator, they had 35 takeaways, led the NFL. Year one, just walks into a job, not a great job either, and leads the NFL in takeaways with 35. Then goes to Chicago from 2015 to 2018 as the Bears defensive coordinator. And he survived a coaching change there. So he was hired by one head coach. That coach gets fired, stayed on under the next head coach. And under Fangio's time in Chicago, by the time when he first got there, they were ranked 30th on defense. When he left, or his 3 years there, they were ranked 14th, 15th, and 10th. So once again, quick turnaround, walking into a bad situation and having instant results, turning them around, taking one of the worst defenses in the league and turning them around overnight to a middle of the pack or an above average defense there. And after that, obviously, he was the head coach of the Denver Broncos. We all know what happened there. A lot of issues in Denver. And again, don't read too much into the results, because not everyone's made to be a head coach. And I think it's safe to say Vic Fangio is probably not a head coach. But that doesn't mean he's not a stellar assistant coach, because he clearly is. The main issue he had with the Broncos, that not a cause for concern, just something to keep an eye on, is that he couldn't get along with a lot of the players on the team. He just couldn't get along with a lot of the younger players. And these guys weren't bad players. They were very good players. There was just a disconnect in his ability to get along and communicate with them. Hopefully it's a one-time thing. It was just a bad spot, and hopefully that's not something that's going to carry over in Miami, because we know in Miami you got a lot of large personalities. Xavier Howard's got a large personality. Christian Wilkins has a large personality. Guys like Chubb and Agba make a lot of money. They have large, let's just say, egos per se. So hopefully that doesn't carry over, but it is a red flag, and it is a fact of his time with Denver. And obviously this past year he was a defensive consultant for the Eagles. Eagles obviously playing here shortly. Probably by the time you guys are listening to this, the game is already kicked off because it's now past 3:30. But overall, a good day for the Dolphins, as now Mike McDaniel has a staff he likes and wants. He wanted Vic Fangio last year, and he couldn't have him because Chris Greer and Stephen Ross said no. And so I don't want to say it's a wasted year, but they could have had Vic Fangio last year if the owner and if the general manager just stayed out of the damn way, which they could never seem to do. We could have had him last year. But heading into 2023 season, Mike McDaniel has his man, so no excuses there, as he has the man he wants to run his defense running his defense. Now, I know it's a breaking news audio. I'm going to do one more story since it broke Sunday morning, and from ESPN, Adam Schefter. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you probably all saw the report. He's saying the Miami Dolphins are not expected, keywords, not expected to pursue Tom Brady. Meaning, not expected, things could change. Now, before you yell at me, before you start cursing out Mike from this podcast, oh, Mike, you're an idiot. I don't expect Tom Brady to be the quarterback of the Dolphins. I always say, trust reporters. When the whole Watson thing was going on, trust the reporters. They were proven right. When the Sean Payton thing was going on, trust the reporters. They were proven right. When Tom Brady rumors the past 2 years are going on, trust the reporters. They were proven right. Miami was interested in Watson. They were trying to trade for him. Didn't happen. Doesn't mean they weren't talking about it. Miami did want Sean Payton. Hence, they get caught for tampering with Sean Payton. They did want him. The reporters were right. Miami did want Tom Brady. They tampered with him not once but twice. The reporters were right. And again, when Adam Schefter, a very respected reporter, says the Dolphins are not expected to pursue Tom Brady, believe the reporter. He's probably right. And so I don't think Miami wants Tom Brady. Now, with the not expected part, here's why I say things could change. And that's interesting wording. Because Adam Schefter could have said, the Miami Dolphins will not pursue Tom Brady. Will not is definitive. Not happening. Not expected does leave a gray area in that things could change. Leading us to Mike Florio. And before you get mad, folks, Mike Florio doesn't care enough to make stuff up. Here's Mike Florio's report from this morning saying the Dolphins are not expected to pursue Tom Brady. But what if Tom Brady comes to the call and says, I'm going to play in 2023? Okay, so Tom Brady wants to play, which he hasn't made up his mind yet on that. Now he goes, where am I going to play? Because he's a free agent, can sign anywhere. He looks around the league, who needs quarterbacks? Okay, you got the Jets. I don't want to go to the Jets. You got the Raiders. I can go there and play with Josh McDaniels. I could go to the Titans and see what happens there with Derrick Henry. Oh, yeah, Miami. Been talking to him on and off for the past couple of years. Got caught tampering. Let's see if they're interested. Hey, they got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Hey, I want to go to Miami. And now he reaches out to Miami saying, I want to go there. So the Dolphins are not expected to pursue Brady, but if Brady pursues them, that's why when Adam Schefter says not expected, leaves gray area, and it's not will not pursue. So again, do I think Tom Brady's coming to Miami next year? No, I don't. But do I also think the door shut, case closed, never happening, bet my life on it? No, I don't do that either. I'd say it's a 99.9% chance Tom Brady's not coming to Miami. But again, anything's possible. And the wording of that report leaves leeway, gray area, however you want to word it. So, again, I think the Dolphins are going to ride it out with Tua. I heard a interview with Drew Rosenhaus, with Josh Moser, who is often on our podcast. He believes the Dolphins just won't pick up the fifth-year option. Just let Tua play this year. If he gets hurt or whatever, well, then he can just walk. You owe him nothing. He's a free agent. You don't want him anyways. Bye-bye. But if he plays great, then you just sign him to a long-term contract after this year. And worst comes to worst, you put the franchise tag on him. Why tie yourself to a guy for year 5 when you still have questions about him and his ability to stay healthy? So Rosenhaus, who is pretty good at this stuff, having his finger on the pulse of what's going on around the league, especially when it comes to contracts, saying he doesn't believe the Dolphins will pick up a fifth-year option. And to me, I agree with Drew Rosenhaus. That just makes the most sense. Let Tua play this year. And if he can play a whole year and if the team wins some games and wins in the playoffs, great. Just sign him to a long-term deal after the year. But don't pick up that fifth-year option, because if you do, and then Tua misses 7 or 8 games this year because he's hurt all the time, then you're tied into him for year 5 when you don't want him. So why be tied into him at all? Just let him play out year 4, and after year 4, you either sign him to a long-term deal or you don't want him anyways and just let him walk. No harm, no foul. I think that's where this is going. And I'll say this about Brady. I know there's a lot of people, anytime you hear Tom Brady's name, he's old, he's washed up, he stinks, he can't play no more. Folks, you don't have to like Tom Brady. I don't care if you like him or not. I could care less. But just to be factual, Tom Brady had the 3rd most passing yards in the NFL this year. He threw for almost 5,000 yards, 4,694. He also had 25 touchdowns and only 9 interceptions. So if you're going to sit here and say Tom Brady's washed up and can't play, that's an out-and-out lie. The guy might be old. He might not be as good as he was, 5 years ago, but he ain't washed up, and he can still play in this league. Only 9 interceptions, 25 touchdowns, and he threw for just under 5,000 yards. 3rd most in the league. This guy can still play. But, again, I don't expect him in Miami. I'm not saying I want him in Miami. I'm just saying trust reporters. That doesn't mean that you only trust the ones when they say something you want to happen. So if they would have said this morning, Adam Schefter, just assuming he would have said Miami wants Tom Brady, most of you would have said that's false, he's making it up, Adam Schefter's a clown, blah, blah. No, just trust all reporters with what they say, because as I always say, the reporters don't give 2 flying F's about the Miami Dolphins. They're not going to make up a story, risk their job, risk their paycheck, risk how they feed their family for a false story about a team in the Miami Dolphins who haven't won a playoff game in 20 years. It's not like the Miami Dolphins moved the needle to where they're getting paid more by making up false stories about the Dolphins that makes headlines. It's not. Nobody cares about the Dolphins that much, especially a reporter who just reports the news. They just want to have accurate information and be right. And like I've said, when it came to the Watson story, all these reporters were right. When it came to the Sean Payton story, all these reporters were right. When it came to the Tom Brady story previously, all these reporters were right. So if Adam Schefter, one of the most respected reporters, says Miami's not expected to pursue Brady, guess what? Odds are Tom Brady ain't coming to Miami. So we'll see. We'll see. But that I just wanted to touch on that real quick because I know that made big news this Sunday. But then the Vic Fangio story broke and everything blew up in the world of the Miami Dolphins. So, as I wrap up, first off, we still have our contest up to win a Tua bobblehead doll. It takes 2 seconds to play. If you're listening to this podcast, you've already done like half the work to submit your entry. But go to the website, dolphinstalk.com, or go to my Twitter feed at DolphinsTalk. Read the rules. It's free to play. You just have to submit an entry to me to have your name thrown in the hopper, and then February 19th, I pick a winner online live, and that person wins this very rare Nickelodeon Tua bobblehead doll. Only 102 were made. Only 102 were made. It's very rare, never opened, still in the box, so it could be worth a lot of money someday, and because it is very rare. So go to the website, dolphinstalk.com, go to my Twitter feed at Dolphins Talk, read it. You have to do 2 things and send me a screenshot. Literally, that's it. It takes less than a minute to have your name thrown in the hat to win this. Also, throw a touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill. May 14th in South Florida. Yes, it's in South Florida. So if you don't live in South Florida, you got to fly your ass down there, or I don't care how you get there. You got to get there. But you can throw a touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill. There will be a professional photographer there taking a picture of it. They blow up the picture to 16 by 20. Tyreek Hill autographs it, and you get one-on-one FaceTime with Tyreek Hill. There's going to be a barbecue there. There's going to be music there, too, with a DJ. There's probably going to be some people from our website there. So throw a touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill. It's a great event. Now, it's not cheap, but whatever you pay is tax deductible. So when you see the price tag of this, say, oh, my God, I don't want to pay that. Just remember, it's tax deductible. What you pay. They did this event last year with Tua, and I know a lot of people that went. They got to hang out with him for part of a day. They got to catch a pass from Tua, have that taken a picture of, signed, autographed, and for that price, it's for you and a guest. It's not just yourself. It's for you and a guest that you bring. So if you want some one-on-one FaceTime with Tyreek Hill, you want a picture of you and Tyreek playing catch, or you throwing a touchdown to Tyreek that's going to get blown up and autographed by Tyreek, that's a one-of-one. Because there's not going to be any other pictures with you and him in the picture. It's a one-of-one, 16 by 20 picture too, so it's not like a small one. 16 by 20 is a nice-sized picture. Go to the website, dolphinstalk.com. We have all the information up there. You can reach out to me on Instagram at DolphinsTalk, on Twitter at DolphinsTalk, or you can email me at dolphinstalk1977@gmail.com if you need more information on the event. I can put you in touch with the organizers and get you all signed up there as well if you want to be a part of that. So, everyone, thank you for listening to this breaking news audio. Enjoy the conference championship games, and we will talk to you again after a while.